For years, Jackie Christie carried herself like a fortress carved out of iron, a woman whose love was the kind of devotion that made strangers jealous and enemies grind their teeth in silence. She wasn't just a wife. She was the definition of loyalty in designer heels, a woman who made sacrifice fashionable and stood like a queen. No storm could bend. Through endless seasons of whispers, rumors, and headlines meant to shatter her, she stood firm with Doug Christie, the husband she defended like a soldier guarding a throne. To fans and castmates, their marriage wasn't just strong. It was untouchable, bulletproof, a kind of love that reality TV couldn't script. Brick by brick, she built that image, pouring her soul into it until loyalty itself had her face. But loyalty is a fragile crown, and all it took was one tape, one flash of betrayal, to reduce everything she built into ash. The footage wasn't blurry, it wasn't vague. It was velvet-lit, crisp, and devastating. A hotel penthouse days before Jackie's glitzy vow renewal, and instead of Doug practicing heartfelt speeches or planning candlelit surprises, there he was wrapped in silk sheets, whispering sins into the neck of Malaysia Pargo. Their bodies were tangled, their mouths greedy, champagne bottles half empty at their bedside. And what destroyed Jackie wasn't just the hunger, it wasn't just the physical betrayal, it was Doug's eyes. Soft, tender, familiar. That look wasn't drunken confusion, it wasn't temporary lust. It was a man at home, rehearsing intimacy he had repeated countless times. The internet erupted like gasoline hitting fire. The tape didn't just trend. It possessed every platform, every feed, every screen. Fans gasped, haters gloated, bloggers screamed into microphones, but no one's world cracked harder than Jackie's. She didn't throw furniture or scream obscenities. She didn't rage at cameras. She simply collapsed, mid-scene during a live taping, as if her heart physically gave out under the weight of betrayal. Backstage chaos hit like an earthquake. One whisper in her ear, one trembling phone passed from a producer, and Jackie's entire soul fell out of her chest. Her body hit the floor, lashes smeared, foundation streaked with tears, chest convulsing as paramedics rushed in. She sobbed words caught on a shaky backstage clip that later leaked, "He kissed her while I was ordering his tux." He kissed her. That wasn't a wife's heartbreak. It was a scream from the pit of her being. For the woman who had defended Doug through every scandal, every rumor, every headline, this was not just cheating. This was obliteration. This was war. The timeline of the betrayal was a story in itself. It started like a whisper, a blurred screenshot on a fringe gossip blog. Two silhouettes sneaking into a penthouse suite. One tall, one curvy, timestamp glowing 11:42 p.m. At first, it was speculation. Fans squinted, argued, claimed it was just a lookalike. But then 12 hours later, the bomb dropped. The unblurred video? Doug and Malaysia bathed in moonlight, swaying to soft jazz, eyes locked like lovers who had memorized each other's every move. Doug wasn't clumsy, wasn't tipsy, he was fluent. He was fluent in betrayal, and every frame proved it. Twitter burned down. Reddit melted. The shade room exploded with forensic analysis. Fans became lip readers, body language experts, conspiracy theorists. One slowed the tape down frame by frame, swearing Malaysia whispered, "My turn," before Doug kissed her shoulder. Others pointed out how Doug's hands never trembled, how he held her with ease like this wasn't new. It was history. And then came the receipts. A vintage Instagram story resurfaced. Doug and Malaysia in Turks and Caicos, toes in the sand, cocktails in hand, posted the same week Jackie canceled her family vacation for an emergency. Doug had told Jackie he was at a golf event. The only hole-in-one he scored that week was betrayal. Malaysia's former assistant went rogue, sliding into blogs with years of flirty texts and late-night voice notes. There were red hearts, fire emojis, whispers of Vegas nights, photos of Malaysia in crimson lace captioned, "This is what real loyalty feels like." But loyalty to who? Jackie stood by Doug through canceled contracts, locker room whispers, and his darkest hours. And his thank you? Another woman's shoulder Doug tried to play invisible. Comments off. Captions deleted. Stories gone. But Malaysia? She fanned the flames. She liked a post that read, "She couldn't hold him. You reminded him what passion feels like." That like was a Molotov cocktail thrown into an already blazing inferno. Jackie's camp finally released a statement. Miss Christie is recovering in solitude. She appreciates the support and will address this when ready. But it was too late. The internet wasn't waiting for her. Old basketball wives clips were resurfaced and dissected like FBI evidence. Every smirk, every side-eye Malaysia ever threw at Jackie was reinterpreted as a clue, a coded message in a betrayal conspiracy. Fans replayed a Season 8 moment where Jackie joked about Doug's long gym sessions, and Malaysia fired back, as long as he's getting cardio somewhere. Laughter back then. A blade to the chest now. Jackie disappeared from the marital home. Friends whispered she wasn't eating, that she woke up crying, asking her reflection over and over again. Was any of it ever real? But reality had no mercy. Because then came the second video. Doug leaving that same hotel suite at sunrise, hoodie pulled up, hair damp, face calm. Not guilty, not frantic, peaceful, fans lost it. TikTok exploded with reaction edits. YouTubers uploaded hour-long breakdowns. VH1 yanked Malaysia from promo campaigns. Insiders whispered about cancellation. Others hinted at a rebrand built entirely around this scandal. For VH1, it was ratings gold. For Jackie, it was a funeral for the life she thought she had. But Jackie didn't crumble into obscurity. She calculated. She went live. Hoodie up, eyes swollen, voice raw. He swore to me he'd never be that man. I fought women off. I fought producers. I fought for us. And now I look like a joke. Her words shook, but her stare did not. That stare promised blood. The comments flooded in like a river. Fans begging her to leave, praying for her strength, reminding her she deserved more. You're everything, Jackie. He destroyed the castle you built. She always envied you. Jackie didn't respond. She just stared. And the silence of her stare was louder than a scream. But behind that silence, Jackie was digging. She unearthed messages in Doug's phone he never meant her to see. She's busy with that gala. Come through. I need your scent. I need your silence. You feel like peace. She feels like weight. Those weren't the words of a fling. That was a double life carved into the cracks of her own home. That afternoon, Jackie called VH1 herself. She turned the cameras on, not for fame, but for vengeance. She filmed in her kitchen, the same one where she hosted family dinners. She stood in the living room where she once posed for anniversary photos. In the hallway, she decorated with hearts every Valentine's Day. No stylists, no edits, just Jackie dressed in black, staring into the camera. I gave everything to a man who rehearsed betrayal like it was a monologue. To a friend who stabbed me with a smile. To a network that fed off our love. And then she dropped the folder. Printouts, timestamps, receipts. Fans had never seen Jackie like this. It wasn't the fiery clapbacks or the outrageous antics she was known for. This was a woman stripped bare, ready to scorch the earth. And while the world gasped, one thing became clear. This wasn't going to be another reality TV scandal that died in a week. Jackie Christie was preparing for war, and when the queen goes to war, the whole kingdom burns. The queen goes to war, the whole kingdom burns. The internet wasn't just watching anymore, it was rallying, tearing itself in half between disbelief and fury. Hashtags like Justice for Jackie, Doug destroyed everything, and Malaysia overflooded TikTok and Twitter until even celebrities who never uttered a word about basketball wives were reposting fan edits. Clips of Jackie Christie in her prime, laughing in fur coats, holding Doug's hand with pride, were stitched beside the leaked hotel footage, creating a cruel then versus now montage that spread like wildfire. Jackie, the woman who once wore loyalty like armor, was now trending as the betrayed queen whose throne had been set on fire by the two people she trusted most. Every smirk Malaysia Pargo ever flashed in Jackie's direction was now dissected like prophecy. Every soft answer from Doug Christie now branded as deceit. It wasn't entertainment anymore. It was cultural mourning. And while Jackie tried to grieve in silence, the scandal refused to die. A second backstage clip leaked, raw and unedited, showing her crumpled in a corner, mascara streaking down her face as she whispered to producers. He kissed her while I was ordering his tux. He kissed her. Those words repeated across the internet like a chant, an anthem of devastation. Fans recorded TikToks crying as they mouthed her words over sad music. Reaction channels screamed into microphones about Doug being the biggest coward in reality TV history. Instagram blogs turned into digital graveyards for Doug's reputation. Yet still, he refused to say a word. No apology, no denial, no explanation. Just silence. And silence only made the flames higher. But Malaysia? She couldn't resist. Instead of vanishing, she doubled down. She was caught liking a shady post that read, "You can't keep what was never yours." Some women just remind him what passion feels like. That like was a dagger, a smug little smirk broadcast to millions of people. Fans erupted. She just confirmed it, one wrote. She doesn't even care. She's proud, memes poured in. Photos of Malaysia with captions like, "Sis wanted Jackie's throne so bad she forgot loyalty existed." Jackie's supporters swarmed her comments, flooding her with snake emojis, demanding apologies, calling her a homewrecker. But instead of apologizing, Malaysia played coy, posting cryptic captions about new beginnings and choosing happiness. The audacity only fueled the war. Meanwhile, VH1 executives were losing their minds. Emergency meetings stretched past midnight. Contracts were pulled apart, shredded, rewritten. Some insiders leaked whispers that Malaysia's role might be cut entirely. Others said a whole new spin-off was being brainstormed around Jackie's comeback, the network scrambling to salvage both ratings and loyalty. For years, Jackie was the drama magnet, the lightning rod who could turn a reunion into a battlefield. But this wasn't manufactured. This was raw. This was blood. And VH1 knew if they didn't capitalize on it, another platform would. Producers begged Jackie to let them into her home with cameras. But Jackie wasn't thinking about ratings. She was thinking about revenge. In the shadows of the scandal, more evidence bubbled up. Screenshots of Doug wiring Malaysia Pargo $8,000 with a memo line that read, "Silence." Fans didn't need context. They decided instantly. It wasn't a gift, it wasn't a loan. It was hush money. Then came an audio file, grainy but clear enough. Malaysia's voice whispering, "If she ever finds out, just lie. She'll believe you before she ever doubts you." That wasn't infidelity. That was conspiracy. Fans flooded social media with captions. This wasn't cheating, it was premeditated murder of a marriage. Jackie's grief hardened into something sharper. She posted one photo to Instagram, her wedding ring, cold on a marble counter, beside a torn picture of her and Doug. No caption. No hashtags. Just silence that screamed louder than any speech. And then came the twist nobody expected. Christie, Jackie's daughter, went live. Tears streamed down her face as she defended her mother, her voice shaking with anger. "My mom fought for that man so hard people thought she was obsessed. She loved him out loud. She stood by him when nobody else would. And now he's out here kissing Malaysia like it's prom night at a sushi bar." That one line, "prom night at a sushi bar," went viral. Memes, remixes, soundbites, edits. Chantel's pain became part of the internet's outrage, and suddenly, this wasn't just Jackie's fight. It was the Christie family's fight. Fans flooded her live comments with support, urging her to protect her mother, to cut Doug off forever, to make sure Jackie never spoke to Malaysia again. For once, the internet's cruelty turned into a wall of defense around Jackie. But Malaysia wasn't backing down. Paparazzi cornered her outside a Beverly Hills spa, and when asked if she had a message for Jackie, she smirked and said, "Tell her thanks for warming him up." That clip detonated online. Millions of views within hours. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. "She's the villain now," one fan wrote. "She just ended her own career." Others were even harsher. "Jackie better expose that pregnancy test. She's cute now, let's see how she handles court." And court was exactly where this storm was heading, because Jackie wasn't done crying. She was strategizing. Legal teams moved in. Subpoenas were filed. Bank transfers traced. Hotel surveillance requested. Every receipt Doug and Malaysia thought they had buried was being dug up and lined like ammunition. Fans began whispering about a pregnancy test Jackie teased during a live interview, a test that allegedly linked back to Malaysia. Theories swirled, was she carrying Doug's child? Was Jackie holding it back as her ultimate weapon? The internet didn't know, and Jackie didn't confirm. She let silence do the talking. Meanwhile, Doug finally broke his silence with a weak, black screen Instagram story that read, "You only know what they let you see." The backlash was instant and brutal. Former teammates chimed in, spilling old tea. One retired coach told a podcast, "Jackie never knew half of what that man was doing on the road." The implication was clear. This wasn't Doug's first betrayal. This was just the first one that reached the airwaves. And once fans smelled blood, there was no saving him. His legacy wasn't being questioned. It was being buried. Jackie, however, wasn't just surviving. She was transforming. No longer the fiery, defensive wife fighting to protect a marriage. She was something colder, sharper. She began to embody vengeance itself. Her Instagram live sessions weren't breakdowns anymore, they were sermons. She spoke of betrayal like scripture, reminding fans that loyalty without respect is slavery. Her words echoed beyond basketball wives, striking a nerve with women across the world. They flooded her comments with stories of their own heartbreaks, their own betrayals, their own Doug-shaped wounds. Jackie had become more than a reality star. She was now a vessel for collective rage, and Malaysia had become the face of betrayal. And still, the story wasn't finished. Because as Jackie armed herself with documents, screenshots, and lawyers, whispers emerged of even darker footage. Videos from nights the internet hadn't seen yet. Hotel lobbies in other cities, surveillance tapes where Doug and Malaysia didn't even bother to hide. It wasn't just one night, one mistake. It was a pattern. A double life lived in plain sight, while Jackie decorated hallways with hearts and planned vow renewals. The fans didn't just want justice anymore. They wanted blood, and through it all, Jackie kept her head high. No more collapsing, no more tears for the cameras. She stood tall, a woman scorched but not destroyed, staring into the lens like a queen stripped of her crown but sharpening her sword. She promised nothing, but her silence promised everything. Because if this was only the beginning, then the war ahead was going to reduce reputations, careers, and maybe even lives into rubble. And Jackie Christie, the woman once mocked for loving too loud, had now become the one figure the entire reality TV world feared. The war that started with whispers had now transformed into a full-blown campaign of receipts, lawsuits, and public reckoning. Jackie Christie was no longer the wife who fainted at betrayal. She had become the general of her own army. She filed for restraining orders against Doug Christie, accusing him of obsessive texts, uninvited visits, even harassment toward her elderly mother. Court documents became public, and once again the internet caught fire. Fans dissected every line, every timestamp, every accusation. He couldn't even leave her alone after destroying her. One post read, "That's not love, that's obsession." The once celebrated husband who followed his wife into every basketball arena like a loyal shadow was now recast as a man who couldn't accept being cut off from the woman he had publicly humiliated. But if Doug's silence had been cowardly before, his attempts at explanation were even worse. He released a shaky video, hair unkempt, eyes glazed, muttering words about love being messy, about mistakes happening. "We were always real," he whispered. "Me and Malaysia were hurting. It wasn't supposed to be like this." The video flopped instantly. Fans dragged him, calling the performance crocodile tears, a pathetic attempt to look broken when the receipts already told a different story. "You wired her $8,000 with a memo that said silence. That's not messy love. That's calculated betrayal," one fan snapped in the comments. Within hours, Doug deleted the video, but the internet never forgets. His weakness became a permanent meme. Malaysia Pargo, however, refused to retreat. Instead of disappearing, she gave an exclusive interview to a blogger, sitting smug in designer shades as she spoke calmly, almost sweetly. "I didn't break up a happy home," she said. "Doug lied to both of us. He told me the marriage was just for show. Jackie was a business partner, not a wife." Her words detonated across every platform, but it was the next line that crushed Jackie's spirit into glass. "Doug and I have been seeing each other on and off since 2018. This wasn't infidelity. It was a parallel existence, a shadow marriage, a hidden life." Then the kill shot. "He told me Jackie made him feel heavy. I made him feel alive." That single sentence sliced deeper than any footage, any receipt, any whisper. For Jackie, who had carried Doug through canceled contracts, public scandals, and emotional breakdowns, being called heavy was the ultimate betrayal. Reports say Jackie hurled a wine bottle across her hotel suite, shattering the mirror and screaming Doug's name until security intervened. For 2 days, she vanished, sedated by exhaustion and grief, but when she re-emerged, she wasn't crying. She was plotting. She walked into a quiet press room, no glam squad, no edits, just her, a trembling hand holding a manila folder. "I gave Doug Christie the best years of my life," she said firmly, voice trembling with rage and dignity. "I covered his demons. I made him look like a king. I built an image, and while I planned a vow renewal, he was building a life without me." Then she opened the folder. Inside were divorce papers. She signed them live on camera. The internet erupted in applause, not just fans, but women around the world who had carried their own Dougs, their own betrayals, their own Malaysia-shaped daggers. Jackie wasn't humiliated. She was reborn, but the scandal had another twist left. Paparazzi footage surfaced of Doug and Malaysia at yet another hotel, 2 weeks before the vow renewal ceremony. This time, Malaysia was draped in Doug's shirt, laughing, feeding him strawberries while he whispered into her ear, "After this last wedding with Jackie, I'm done. You're my real future." It wasn't reckless anymore. It was premeditated. And if Jackie had once been painted as the desperate wife clinging to a man's loyalty, now she was the woman robbed of her own reality. Doug wasn't choosing between two women. He had already chosen, already built a shadow life. While Jackie carried the weight of his name in public, VH1, scrambling to salvage its reputation, announced an emergency spin-off built around Jackie's comeback. Contracts shifted overnight. Old castmates called her, begging to align themselves with her newfound power. She wasn't just another basketball wife anymore. She was the franchise, and producers knew that if they didn't rebuild the show around her pain, another network would. But Jackie wasn't chasing ratings. She was hunting truth. She filed subpoenas for Doug's bank accounts, Malaysia's burner phones, hotel surveillance from nights fans hadn't even imagined. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was scorched earth strategy. Jackie wasn't just exposing betrayal. She was building a legal case that could bury Doug and Malaysia in the rubble of their own lies. And then came the envelope. During a live interview, Jackie held up a manila envelope and pulled out one photo, a positive pregnancy test dated 3 months prior. No caption, no explanation, just the image. The internet stopped breathing. Is Malaysia pregnant with Doug's child? Blogs screamed. Fans speculated endlessly, dissecting timelines, analyzing Doug's mysterious payments, replaying Malaysia's cryptic captions. Theories spiraled out of control. Some said Jackie was bluffing. Others swore it was the ultimate revenge weapon. Either way, the silence afterward was deafening. Neither Doug nor Malaysia denied it. The absence of denial was louder than confirmation. Meanwhile, Jackie's daughter, Christie, became the family's firebrand. She went live again, tears streaming down her face, voice trembling with fury. "My mom stood by that man so hard people thought she was crazy. She loved him out loud, and now he's out here feeding strawberries to Malaysia like she's his soulmate? Enough is enough." That clip was replayed thousands of times, becoming the anthem of a generation of women fed up with humiliation. Jackie's pain had become collective rage, and Doug had become the universal villain. Doug, cornered by backlash, tried to crawl back into Malaysia's arms, but the irony was brutal. Malaysia, who once smirked about warming him up, suddenly vanished. Whispers emerged that she had booked a private Maldives escape under a fake identity, hiding not from paparazzi but from the tidal wave of subpoenas crashing toward her. Doug, abandoned by both women, became a ghost. His endorsements disappeared, his podcast was canceled, and even the NBA Alumni Foundation released a statement condemning deception, manipulation, and emotional abuse. His empire collapsed, and Jackie's silence carved the final nails in the coffin. When Jackie returned for the reunion taping, she walked on set in heels, no ring, no tears, head high. Malaysia sat smugly at the other end, expecting to be seated beside Doug, only to find his chair empty. He had ghosted her, blocked her, vanished without a word. Even in betrayal, Doug stayed true to one identity: coward. Jackie didn't scream, didn't clap back. She stood, delivered her words with ice in her voice, and walked off set, a woman who realized she had been carrying dead weight. The fans erupted online, declaring her the phoenix who rose from betrayal's ashes, and yet the story wasn't finished. Whispers of more leaks hovered in the air, voice notes, wire transfers, security footage from nights in other cities. Insiders claimed someone close to Doug was ready to drop even darker receipts, the kind that could turn this saga into something bigger than basketball wives, bigger than reality TV itself. Fans begged Jackie to expose everything, to burn the empire to the ground. She said nothing, but her silence promised the war wasn't over, because in the end, this wasn't just about Doug and Malaysia. This was about every woman who had given her life to a man's image only to discover he rehearsed betrayal like a second language. This was about a queen dethroned who chose not to beg but to rebuild her crown from ashes. Christie, once mocked for loving too loudly, had now become the face of vengeance, the proof that even when betrayal feels like an earthquake, the woman left standing is still the storm. And the question that lingered wasn't whether Doug had cheated, that was gospel. The question was how many more secrets he was still hiding, and when the next wave of truth would detonate, because this wasn't a kiss. It wasn't even about Malaysia. It was about waking up and realizing your whole marriage was a Netflix series and you weren't given the script. And if this was just the first season of betrayal, the next act was about to flip everything wide open. Jackie knew it. The fans knew it. And the reality TV world would never recover once the rest of the truth came to light.